short notice you'd like to do an introduction. So anyway, so apologies on the hoof. You are so welcome. This is a very special evening to us. I'm going to ask Eamon to open the exhibition, but if you can imagine, for us it's a wonderful occasion to remember our parents, remember our father, to give an opportunity to his last body of work. And so in a very tangible way, there's a lovely photograph of them outside in the hall there. In a very tangible way, we feel their presence tonight. So, and it's so special that our friends and their friends are here to make this a really special evening for us. So, without further ado, I introduce my brother, Eamon, who many of you know.
This is a legacy of landscapes by Bob Ryan. I want to thank you, Robert and Marion and John, for giving me the honour of saying a few words at this last exhibition from our father, Bob Ryan. We have to thank every single person who has bought a painting, because the proceeds are going to Open Spectrum. It's a charity run by parents who organise activities for young autistic children, people in South Dublin, including art therapy sessions, which will now be equally available to every family thanks to the funds we raise here tonight. We also want to thank the Taylor Galleries for hosting the exhibition. Dad always saw the Taylor Gallery as the Premier League. In part perhaps because they represented his friend Tony O'Malley, who was an artist that he exhibited with along with another friend, Jim Manning, in the 1950s and 1960s. It's also good, as you said, Robert, that there's so many friends here. I couldn't pick out any one person, but I do have to. Con Moynihan, who worked with Dad in the bank, and Mum and Dad were very friendly with Con and Nancy, but they knew Dad from that time. And it's also everyone here, his family and his friends who knew him over the years. We thought it would be a lovely occasion to have an exhibition to be able to meet in memory of Dad. Bob Ryan was a miracle baby from Tramore. He was raised near the docks in Cork and by the Presentation Brothers on the edge of the Mardyke.
Here, here.
He was a dreamer, admitting that he was not that good at sports because he spent most of the time looking up at the clouds rather than looking for the passing ball. The only exam he ever passed was a tap on the knee. He had to show a functioning nervous system, I kid you not, to allow him enter the same bank his father worked in, the Munster Leinster Bank, 66 South Mall. If anyone's interested, Dad wrote a book. Mike Burns published it, that's class. And we have copies of it here, who anyone might like to take it away, in the corner on the table. He joined the bank, and there was not a lot to do at that time, counting coins and debits and credits all day. But he reminisced about walking out on the country roads in Cork, reveling in the wild characters and the countryside that he was drawn to. He was studying at night in the Crawford and then the National Gallery of Art and Design after he was transferred to Dublin to AIB, Munster Leinster, Dame Street, where he met and married the beautiful Mary Call from Bantry and Macroom. It was around that time he started exhibiting with O'Malley and Manning. Like his colleagues, he was critically well received, even he did not have the same freedom to concentrate solely on his art because he had 4 young children to be raised. Instead, he took on the role of public relations manager for AIB and painted in fits and starts early in the morning, at the weekends and on holidays. He exhibited that work over the years in a series of solo exhibitions. One of our most memorable was the 1970s, late 70s in the Pearl Bar in Fleet Street, but also then, year after different years, in the likes of the Lincoln, the Oriel, the Solomon, and his last exhibition before this one was held some 6 months before he died in the Glassstool Gallery in April 2017. After our mother also died some years ago, we were organising up the artefacts from their home and our childhood. We found these paintings. which were all completed over a similar short period in his last few years. At the time, he suffered from advanced Parkinson's and diabetes, and he'd lost some of his mobility. He was not as able to raise his hands up, so what he did was he brought the canvas down on the easel, and he painted from the hip, using his left hand, as Morris Manning said here tonight, rather than the right that he'd been used to. He used the palette knife as much as the brush, and I'm sure you'll agree, given those circumstances, but anyway, he did so to incredible dramatic effect. They are his most lively, most colourful, most imaginative, best paintings. His faith and spirituality was important to him. We'd always hear him say, there are dimensions to our existence that we neither know nor understand. And when asked about death, he imagined it akin to a leaf falling from a tree and joining the living soil below. When asked about that spiritual sense he had, he talked about his ability to close his eyes in meditation and going into his own inner being, where he would find a place of warm, loving light connected to the Creator, giving moments of comfort and joy. I think his painting searched, or there was a similar search, for some such inner light, most often mediated in this case through depictions of Irish landscapes. They're based on a store of memories built up over the years, starting with the cycling trip around Ireland as a young man, and then holidaying with us in Rush and the Aran Islands, Brittas, Donegal, West Cork, Kerry, and especially in my mind to the west coast of Clare, home of the Merriman and one Vincent O'Dea, his Sancho Panza in so many public relations escapades. He could paint. When you saw him there painting, he painted at home with us, so fast and so free, almost half closing his eyes, unself-consciously starting with the sky and foreground and letting the knife or the brush take off in a way which drew the image out as if it's of its own accord. You can see on the walls around you where that would take you, finding holy ground, seeing some sign in a faraway field or gap or ditch, being alone on the bog, looking up at the sky, a monk and a spaceman, marvelling at it all. These paintings are done by a young man in old age, the same boy who thrilled at the colour first time he ever saw an orange when it was thrown from the Liberty ships that were docked there at the end of Victoria Road in Cork. The same knew about his joy of seeing the jazzy clothes that those same American sailors brought ashore into a very dull, grey, muted hue Ireland of the 1940s. Our father was a beatnik banker who went at life with gusto and inquiry and a love of company and creation. He leaves behind a legacy of landscapes which adorn homes from Tobago to Donnybrook to Inishmaan. They have pride of place in our hearts and minds. They are like gold leaf falling down from above, from before, from the enlightened Bob Ryan. Thank you. There are more glasses of wine.